Welcome to the political checkmate, and Merry Christmas, everyone, and Happy Holidays, and Happy 32nd anniversary of the Soviet Union collapse. So today, I am checkmating Robert Reich's video called "How to Win Arguments with Your Conservative Uncle Bob." So here we go.
Well, happy holidays, everyone. I'm so grateful that even during these tough times, we can still get together and see each other's faces.
Tough times? Bah! The stock market is doing great, and so are my investments. Why do people say the economy is doing badly? Actually, Uncle Bob, the stock market isn't the economy. The richest 1% of Americans own half of all stocks, and the richest 10% own more than 90%. Most Americans' wages have been stagnant or declining for years, if they're lucky enough to even have a job. And a big reason is corporations have pushed down wages in order to boost the stock market. It's poor people's fault they're poor. If they had more gumption, they'd pull themselves up by their bootstraps and work harder.
Well, the stock market is still an important measurement of the economy since it tells us about firm performance or when a recession is coming, and also people care about stock growth since a person would invest money into it and have their retirement funds in there. This Cato Institute article has already debunked that argument of wage stagnation. You should check it out, and citation heavily needed about why Reich thinks that CEO are pushing salaries down for the stock market. While on poverty, conservative scholars have made arguments about how the state keeps people poor through things like occupational licensing or not doing school choice. I would recommend you to read the book The Myth of American Inequality. It is a good read.
Now, be ready for this one. Actually, Uncle Bob, pull yourselves up by the bootstraps is a sham. 60% of all wealth in America is inherited, and the poor work more hours and often under harder conditions than the rich. Yet on an hourly basis, they're earning less than they have in years. The federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour hasn't been raised since 2009. If the minimum wage had kept up with inflation and productivity since the 1960s, today it would be over $20 an hour. If people want to be paid more, they should get a college education.
They said Zoom wouldn't feel like a normal holiday.
Easy to say, Uncle Bob, but the cost of going to college keeps rising faster than inflation, and student loan debt has soared. We should make public higher education tuition free. In the 19th century, we made grades 1 through 8 free. And then in the 20th century, we added kindergarten and grades 9 through 12. Free public education has served this country extraordinarily well. Just cut taxes on big corporations and the wealthy. They are the job creators. If their taxes are cut, they will create more and better jobs.
The Tax Foundation refutes the Piketty on inherited wealth, and according to a U.S. Trust survey, 70% of the wealthy is self-made. When we look at the Forbes 400 list, many of them did not grow up wealthy, according to the American Economic Association. What is interesting is that 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the second generation, and then 90% of the wealth in the third generation. Anyways, the reason why the rich deserve their pay compared to the poor is because their actions generate more money, and also the Pareto principle, where 20% costs 80% of results, since the CEO has to manage the whole business. After all, it is similar to how actors or celebrities are paid large sums of money because they attract people, like Michael Jordan. On the wages argument, why the 60s and not the 1938, the starting year of minimum wage? With inflation, it would be valued at $5.41. And citation needed about the over $20 amount, and also could the productivity not have been done by the worker but instead by the machines? Anyway, the minimum wage still being $7.25 is just the starting pay, not the real pay of workers, because a study from the National Bureau of Economic Research found that minimum wage workers' salaries increase because of career progression, and the Federal Reserve of Economic Data has shown that the median weekly nominal earnings of cashiers have increased. While for colleges, this study from the National Bureau of Economic Research found that college loans increase because government subsidies instead of loans. And why should the government do the schools? This is like saying, since a crook already took the money from the safe, therefore we should allow the crook to take my wallet. We could allow income share agreements to fix the college debt problem. I would recommend people to watch this John Stossel video that covers the topic in more detail.
Jobs. Ah, taxes. Now's your perfect opportunity to debunk some long-standing myths. Now, Uncle Bob, tax cuts on corporations and the wealthy haven't trickled down in the form of more and better jobs. Just look at the 2017 tax cut. Corporations have used the savings to buy back their shares of stock and give the stock market an artificial sugar high. The real problem is big government. Cut the size of
Trickle-down economics is a straw man of free markets. The Trump tax cuts help with wage growth and job growth better than they were the previous trend line was going. Also, the stock buybacks are a good thing. I would recommend you to read this Hill article covering it.
government and we'll all be better off. Once they realize they don't want to defend greedy corporations, they might try to shift blame to the government instead. But deep down, even Uncle Bob knows that without public investment, he wouldn't be where he is today. Not true, Uncle Bob. The biggest federal programs that truly help people are Social Security and Medicare. And right now, you are dependent on both. Besides, we need the government to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure, invest in better schools for our kids and grandkids, and provide quality health care for everyone. It's my money. I should decide how to spend it, not the government. But Uncle Bob, you wouldn't have a penny if the government didn't build highways and bridges for you to get to work on, if it didn't educate you and your employees, and enforce.
This boldly assumes a person could not have just saved up and have a 401k or have insurance, but if Bob was extremely poor, we could have mutual aid societies take care of him. I would recommend you to read this David T. Beadle book cover what a mutual aid society is. We could also have private infrastructure. I would recommend you to read Walter Block's book on the subject, and the private sector could do the schools. Also, the private sector could do the courts and law. I would recommend you to read Robert Murphy's book on the subject. This is the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and please donate to my Patreon so I can make more videos and have your video requests checkmated. And thanks for watching, and have a nice day.